Shabash. Unajua Robi, mimi na raha manake nilibashiri game Europa. Sijamaliza.
When were we predicting Europa?
Otachi. Watana. Niko peke yangu leo katika makala ya The Football Slip. Karibu mpenzi mtazamaji. Hii leo siku ya Ijumaa kama ada, siku ya Ijumaa mida ya saa 4 hadi saa 5 tunatesa viwanjani haswa katika soka katika makala ya The Football Slip. Karibu mpenzi mtazamaji, siku hii ya Ijumaa tarehe 24 Januari hii, mwezi wa kwanza, mwezi wa staftahi mwaka 2025. Sipo peke yangu katika makala ya The Football Slip, lakini kabla ya kueleza nani ambao tuko nao katika makala haya leo, waganga ni wale wale, lakini tuangalie mitandaoni tunaangazia nini hii leo. Football Slip tunaangazia mchuano babu kubwa, Manchester City dhidi ya Chelsea. Timu hii ya mwelekezi wangu Dennis Otachi wanasuasua wakati fulani, wanabobea, wanasuasua, wanabobea, lakini sasa wamepata timu ambayo kidogo mashabiki wa Manchester City, ni ruhusu nitumie hili jina, umepata wanyonge. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu Manchester City bwana, angalia michuano ya klabu bingwa bara Ulaya, mko mabao mawili mbele, alafu mchuano huo unatamatika mabao 4-2, au sio? Vijana wa Pep Guardiola wamekuwa kisosua katika michuano hii ya klabu bingwa bara Ulaya na pia ligi kuu ya Uingereza. Kana kwamba hao ndio mabingwa washikilizi wa taji hilo la ligi kuu ya Uingereza. Man City will be hosting Chelsea this weekend in the English Premier League. Who will have the last laugh? I'll take that again. Manchester City will host Chelsea at their Etihad backyard this weekend in the English Premier League. Who will have the last laugh? Talk to us, guys. Chat, send us messages, texts on X. I don't like using X, but anyway, X. My Twitter handle, my X handle, is @HassanJuma. Robi's R_Okenye. Dennis Otachi. This is this is discriminatory.
It's not discriminatory because we have X. Now, what we have to do is Rogers Ishtemi has a big following on Facebook. Ishtemi.
Okay. Juma, you're laughing.
Ishtemi, what's your Facebook What's your Facebook handle?
Yes. So it's not on X.
No, he is, but he's not as big as he is on Facebook. So, Ishtemi,
very soon I'll employ you, Juma. You just laugh here.
Ishtemi. No.
You know, Ishtemi and Mkangai are big on Facebook.
But now you see, let me tell you, this is the thing with Ishtemi and Cedric. Ishtemi has almost 30 million engagements, on Facebook. Cedric has 10 million engagements. So the people that you're seeing here are not just ordinary people.
Behind the scenes, Juma.
Yes.
We do
so, Ishtemi, before we even continue, please, your handle. Yes. Your handle on
X?
No, not on X. On Facebook.
On Facebook is Rogers Ishtemi.
Yes.
Of course, it has the blue tick.
Yes.
That's where all matters.
It's verified.
It is verified long time ago.
Cedric Msumba. Cedric Msumba, of course, you can get that on Facebook. These 2 million, these two gentlemen combined, you get almost 50 million engagements. So they are masters in their game. Of course, when you come to talking about sports, these are gentlemen that know their craft. And of course, we'll be speaking to them on different matters in tonight's show. Now, aside from that, remember, you can text us and give us your views on 22151. on the question that we've asked. Remember, that SMS is free of charge. Hassan Juma will be giving us your replies in this show. The question we are asking is Manchester City take or rather host Chelsea this weekend in the English Premier League, but who will have the last laugh at the end of the day? That match will be played tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. So we are waiting to get your predictions for that match. But we want to begin this evening's show. And remember, we promised that Stephen Mukangai will be here today, but he got another engagement, so he will not be joining us tonight. Daniel Kariuki will be here next week. He has promised, and he has said that, you know what, gentlemen, I've been away for almost 1 full month, but vitu ambazo nilikuwa nalima ziko karibu kuanza kutoa flowers. So next week I will be with you guys, and remember ni msimu wa maembe, so he's enjoying some things, one and two things. So he will be with here next week. That is Daniel Kariuki and as well as Stephen Mukangai. They will be with us and they will be giving us their predictions on what we have. So Hassan, I want us to begin by recapping what has happened this week. Yes. Okay. Before we even start with recapping the week, let's take a look at this week's sleep. And we have a couple of matches that we've outlined. Probably this week seems a little bit predictable. Shabana will be here in Nairobi. They will be taking on Sofapaka. Bournemouth
What
will
do you
be
mean predictable? What do you mean predictable?
Shabana has been on a good form. Eshtemi, isn't it so?
Yeah, they have, but their away form is not that way promising because they've been dropping a lot of points on the road.
Yes, we'll get into that. Bournemouth will be at home taking on Nottingham Forest. Manchester City take on Chelsea. Fulham will be at Craven Cottage taking on Manchester United. Atletico Madrid will be at home at the Wanda Metropolitano. They will be facing Villarreal. Barcelona at home will be taking on Valencia. Dortmund, after losing last week and firing their coach, they will be welcoming Werder Bremen. Freiburg will be facing Bayern Munich, and Napoli, after losing last week after winning last week against Atalanta, they will be taking on Juventus, and Lazio will be facing Fiorentina. That is this week's sleep. So, gentlemen, before we get even, I've been saying this before we get, Eshtemi, how's your week been?
It has been enjoyable. But of course, last week we lost our legend, that's Bob Munro. May his soul rest in peace. That's the father of the modern Kenyan
How will
football.
you remember Bob Munro?
I think I had a lot of conversation with Bob Munro behind the scenes, more so on how our game was being managed. And he was always a point-blank guy. He could tell you the reality. And most of the time he found himself on the other side, or rather brushing shoulders with the who is who in the Kenyan football. He could speak his mind, and most of the people didn't love what he would say. But I'm glad through his visionary institution, that is Maisa as well as Madare, he produced a number of players, officials, coaches across the country, because you can't go in any club in Kenya right now, you miss a Madare product there, be it a coach, be it a player, or be it an official. That is always there. So Madare, definitely, Bob Munro will be there forever, will be forever remembered for what he has done for the Kenyan football.
Cedric, how was your week?
It has been a fantastic week, full of engagement, of course, in terms of sports, and more so, quite enticeful. Yes.
Yes, Hassan, wiki yako imekuaje?
Ilikuwa poa, but Bob Munro, kama alivyosema mwanahabari mwenzangu Roger Stemi.
Before you get to, but there's something I forgot to ask Cedric. Yes. We've spoken about Bob Munro being the, he's birthed, I don't know if there's a word like that, lots of Kenyan footballers. What are your sentiments on that?
I think prematurely and unfortunately he has actually called it a shot early enough, even before he realized his goal. I might say that he's a kind of a sportsmanship who would have loved to see Kenya even at World Cup. Going by the structure that has been put in behind this particular nation in terms of football, is a kind of person who would love actually to see a Kenya trading in a high regarded leagues. he would see even selling Kenyans to the top flying leagues like the La Liga and the Serie A, the EPL, yeah. And it tells you where his mission and ambition were really lying. Remember in 2016, he was actually the vocal voice behind Kenya privatizing their league. And thereafter, we saw actually the kind of result that we are getting from that kind of essence. From that aspect of thinking and putting things together so as to realize the sex kind of soccer that we are looking into, getting people behind the screen watching soccer, getting guys back to the stadium. Those are the things that we will be missing about this particular person. And if you ask me, if we can replicate maybe the dice we can do about commemoration of Bob Munro, if we can give birth to so many Bob Munro after Bob Munro. So as Kenya can really celebrate what happened, maybe to live their dream, the dream of being in Cup of Nations up to semi-final, the dream of maybe gracing World Cup, and the grace of not being actually embarrassed in these top flying kind of tournaments, maybe in the continent, or maybe if we happen maybe to grace the higher level of the World Cup. That will be, to me, will be the highest accolade that we can live to remember the likes of Bob Munro, who would champion that sport to a certain level and the pedigree that we have been yearning for.
Sedo, of course, very, very strong words that you have there. Roger Sistemi, you got to interview Bob Munro for a very long time. Hassan Juma, you also did the same. Of course, I had not joined the industry then. Yes, I mean, how would you remember Bob Munro?
You know, it's interesting because when you talk about Kenya Premier League, without Bob Munro, we wouldn't have Kenya Premier League by day. Not FKFPL, Kenya Premier League. Yeah, because he professionalized the league, the local league, you know, and that aside,
you had a couple of conversations with him.
Yes.
I mean, what kind of person was he?
He was a cool guy, down to earth. He was one guy who was loved. You know, like there's a time I interviewed him, and there's someone during the interview, someone just from nowhere just stopped right away, like, "Hey, Baba!" You know, like he was calling Bob Munro Baba. So you can imagine guys from Madare, you know, without Bob Munro. Madare is Bob Munro. Bob Munro is Madare. So I'm imagining, you know, Bob Munro.
Madare and Maisa.
Yes, and Maisa, of course. So I'm imagining without Bob Munro, you can imagine, you know, the image, the vices, whatever, you know, you sit down and thinking, hey, Naenda Madare. The things that you think about Madare, the vices, the negative things you think about Madare. You know?
Now, the good thing is we have a couple of top flight coaches that have been through Maisa. We have a couple of top flight footballers that have been through Maisa. Even Francis Kimanzi, who is the interim national football team, Harambee Stars head coach, also went through that system. So from here on the football slip, we say may his soul rest in peace. And of course, the people that went through that system, may they continue, you know, with that legacy that Bob Munro had. So let's recap the week, and I want to begin with Cedric Musumba as we quickly take a look at this. Over this weekend, we had, not over the weekend, but over the week, FC Leopards got a 4-2 win against KCB, but this is before, or rather after, they lost 4-2 to Talanta. Now, it's a question of what we saw on Saturday last week is not what we saw when FC played KCB. I mean, there have been questions. Everybody has questioned that game between FC and Talanta.
Is it the goal that was scored by a player?
You want to do that again?
Why not? You know, the goalkeeper was beaten, right?
Yes.
The striker was alone. Took the ball here, sat on the ball, looked at the goalkeeper like, hey, man, I've beaten you.
Yes,
and scored with his butt. That was so wrong.
So as Hassan does an insult, and you are insulting some of the kind of panelists who happens actually to be the diehards of this particular team. Going back to the system, the social media handles actually, fans are not happy. given to them, regardless of how that goal was scored.
Yeah, it was wrong.
Simply actually came out like there was no player in that particular pitch to an essence that any other player can come and score in such a manner. And you demonstrating in front of us, I don't think if Eshitemi is happy to you.
No, there's no, there's no problem. I mean,
It's fun.
No,
it's okay. I mean,
he's actually recultivating the pain that we went through.
It was actually painful to watch.
It was. It has never happened, I think, in the history of the Kenyan soccer. Nowhere have I seen such kind of goals. And you go by how it was done, it actually literally tells a story of what Robbie was really asking for. Because the goalkeeper, after having beaten, we have seen there's an effort that the goalkeeper gives after having beaten. Once the goalkeeper was beaten, actually he was left standstill. What does that mean? It's something like he predetermined that particular guy. Once you beat me, I will not give any other effort to follow you. There's a player who was running far away to try to come and contain.
Yes.
What does that story tells you? And it comes a result that Robbie is saying, similarly, with a different kind of effort, with the same player on a better team. Because you cannot compare Talanta and KCB.
Yes.
You go and win.
Yeah.
What are you confirming? You are giving us answers. You are giving us actually talking points that really are culminating to whatever we are discussing right now.
my problem was not just the goalkeeper. Of course, I've had issues with the goalkeeper, but also the guy who scored. I mean, come on. It's fair play.
Showboating is part of the game.
I don't like it though. I don't like it though. I don't like it.
You may not.
It's not fair.
Eshitemi, before you speak, showboating is part of the game. I mean, we've seen Neymar do it. We've seen players do it.
That is why guys can easily get yellow cards because of that.
Hassan, I will respect you the way you respect me.
Thank you. It's a two-way traffic.
It's a two-way
And,
traffic.
We have seen it even Anthony at some point. I think it was an UEFA.
When he was at Ajax,
Yeah, even at Man U,
Yeah.
when he did some kind of circling. And
South Africans
Showboating
South Africans
part of the game.
like to do that, but Roger's system, I don't like it though because of FIFA fair play, right? Why would you do that?
But
Why
you
would
see what
score
Hassan,
that?
if that could not have happened to us, answers wouldn't have been here like what we are discussing. This guy's actually, it wasn't a godly sent thing. He needed it to do it that way so as to know what is happening in our league. And we need to actually bring it to the fore.
Eshitemi, was that fair? Do I have to score
I
my-
spoke to Eshitemi on Sunday. I spoke to Cedric on Sunday. I mean, these guys were mad. Eshitemi.
No. You know, showboating, yes, is part of the game. Maybe try to entice and maybe make fans excited. But at the end of the day, as a professional footballer, you need to ask yourself, who is going to be my next employee? Because it's all about results. But now, you know, you as a player, maybe this is your first time you're playing in the FKF Premier League and you're doing such a thing. Which type of coach will
But
give you a deal?
HTB, before even you go there, professionalism actually is a class of all sorts of growth, and it grows gradually. You are talking about a player being professional, but playing in a league that is not professionally managed.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
now where I'm
So a player is emulating what the league is giving him.
That's where I was headed to, because looking at the pedigree of the FKPL, it's not that will worth selling. And you know, already for him continuing to do such a thing is already discrediting it further. So
Eshitemi,
there's no more respect
Eshitemi.
towards that type of league.
Eshitemi, I want us to move away from this topic. And I want your brief comments because I will not tell you why we are moving away. No, Dennis, we are still on FC. The question is 4-2 loss to Talanta, and then you get a 4-2 win against KCB, one of the best teams in the country. And this, we are seeing it at the backdrop of a week-long strike for players. What does it show?
It looks scripted. You know, for me it looks very scripted because, yes, FC was coming off a go-slow,
Yes.
a go-slow from the players, yeah. And you know, to some extent, I feel like personally, yeah, you are a professional player. You know that you have not trained. Yes, you have said you are on a go-slow. Why were you going to work? You shouldn't have gone to work then. You should have let it go, maybe even a walkover. That will have been a better result for FC Leopards against Atalanta. But now you decide to go onto the pitch and then maybe try to kill off that morale from the fans, the emotion, their finances they have spent, and now come against a team that is maybe chasing the tackle KCB. You bring your A game. So I think this is something that has been happening at FC Leopards for the longest period possible. Look, maybe for the last 6 years or 7 years or so, it has been happening like that. They go on go slow, they get beaten. The next game, they bring their A game and they win. But that aside, I think also they know that in indeed they have a chance maybe to chase the title, because looking at the point difference between the top 6 or 7 teams, it is so close. And if they won that match, then they have a better chance maybe to continue narrowing the gap at the top. But,
yes.
But for KCB, it was a tough one.
Yes, so let's take a look at the other moments that have been making this week, aside from FC Leopards winning against, of course, KCB at St. Sebastian Park. We had Gor Mahia getting a win against Sofapaka in the midweek. And, of course, there were some push and pull about how Gor Mahia scored that goal. But I know if we get into that at this moment, tunaweza kaa the entire show discussing about that. So let's just move on and take a look at the other moments that define this week. We have Kenya Police going back to the top of the Football Kenya Federation Premier League with that 3-0 win they had this week. And so they are on top of the Football Kenya Federation Premier League by virtue of having a better goal difference. Now, let's move away from this. And Cedric, I want your indulgence briefly on this. Benfica versus Barcelona. Barcelona managed to come back from 3 goals down to win this tie.